Why You Must Listen. Once upon a time, in a bustling city, lived a young woman named Lena. She absolutely loved English. She could effortlessly read complex articles and understand every word of intricate movie dialogues. Her comprehension skills were truly exceptional, a testament to her dedication to the language. Yet, despite this deep understanding, Lena faced a significant hurdle that constantly held her back, preventing her from truly flourishing. Her biggest challenge was speaking. Whenever she tried to articulate her thoughts, words would get stuck, her tongue would feel heavy, and her confidence would plummet. This frustrating inability to speak well, despite her robust passive knowledge, often made her feel isolated. She often whispered to herself, "I understand English, but I can't speak well." It was a constant refrain, a silent plea for a solution. One quiet evening, while browsing online, she stumbled upon an old forum post. It spoke passionately about why you must listen. The author emphasized active listening, not just hearing, but truly absorbing sounds and intonations. This simple concept sparked a flicker of hope within Lena. Perhaps her approach had been too academic, too focused on grammar rules and vocabulary lists alone. The post also highlighted why reading is important, not just for comprehension, but for internalizing sentence structures and natural phrasing. It suggested reading aloud, even if only to herself. Lena realized she had been reading silently for years. A new path seemed to be opening before her, a path that promised a fresh perspective on her language learning journey. Armed with this newfound insight, Lena decided to dedicate herself to focused listening. She started with podcasts on topics she genuinely found interesting, initially just letting the words wash over her. Gradually, she began to pay attention to pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation, consciously attempting to mimic the speaker's natural flow. It felt like her ears were finally truly opening. She listened during her commute, while cooking, and before bed. She wasn't just consuming content, she was actively absorbing the sounds of English. This constant exposure slowly but surely began to retune her brain, making the patterns of spoken English more familiar and less intimidating. It was a subtle transformation, yet profoundly impactful on her learning. Next, Lena incorporated reading into her active practice. She chose simple English novels and articles, but this time, she read them aloud. This combination of listening to native speakers and then articulating the words herself began to bridge the gap between her understanding and her speaking ability. The connection felt tangible, a real breakthrough in her method. Reading aloud helped her mouth and tongue get accustomed to forming English sounds and words. It felt awkward at first, a clumsy dance of unfamiliar muscles. But with each page, with each chapter, the movements became smoother, more natural. She was essentially programming her vocal apparatus for fluent expression, a vital step often overlooked. The mantra, "Listen and practice," became her guiding principle. After listening to a segment of a podcast, she would pause it and try to repeat phrases, mimicking the speaker's tone and speed. This immediate application of what she heard solidified her learning, turning passive intake into active output. It was challenging, but also incredibly rewarding, she discovered. She called this her imitation game. She wasn't just repeating, she was trying to inhabit the voice, the emotion, the very essence of the spoken words. This deep level of engagement made the practice less monotonous and far more effective. It was no longer just about memorization, but about true linguistic embodiment, a playful yet powerful technique. The forum also suggested a curious yet incredibly effective technique: how to talk at home to yourself. Initially, Lena felt silly conversing with an empty room. But she soon realized the immense freedom and low-pressure environment this provided. There was no judgment, no fear of mistakes, just pure, unadulterated practice whenever she desired. She started with simple monologues about her day, her thoughts, her plans. Sometimes she would describe objects around her room, narrate her cooking process, or even argue with herself about trivial matters, all in English. This daily ritual, however strange it felt at first, rapidly built her conversational stamina and fluency in a safe space. This solitary practice was a crucial stepping stone. It allowed her to experiment with vocabulary and grammar without the anxiety of a real-time conversation. She made countless mistakes, corrected herself, and slowly built an internal rhythm for speaking. Her confidence began to blossom, nurtured by these private linguistic adventures. Beyond just speaking, Lena understood that, while you must read English, extended to absorbing cultural nuances and idiomatic expressions. Reading exposed her to a wider range of vocabulary and sentence structures than purely conversational practice could provide. It enriched her linguistic tapestry, making her future conversations more sophisticated. She diversified her reading materials: news articles, short stories, blog posts, even product reviews. Each new text offered fresh vocabulary and different styles of expression. This comprehensive approach ensured that her English knowledge was well-rounded, preparing her for various real-life speaking scenarios with greater ease and readiness. The whole process started feeling like a very interesting story unfolding. Each small improvement, each new word she confidently used, felt like a chapter in her personal narrative of triumph. This positive reinforcement made the journey enjoyable, rather than a burdensome task, transforming her perception of learning. Her mindset shifted from, "I can't speak," to, "I am learning to speak." This subtle but profound change in perspective was critical. She began to view every stumble as a learning opportunity, every awkward pause as a chance to rephrase, rather than a failure, fostering resilience. After months of diligent solo practice, Lena felt a nascent desire to try speaking with people. The thought still brought a knot to her stomach, but it was no longer a paralyzing fear. She knew she had built a solid foundation, a mental repository of sounds and structures ready for activation. Her first real test came with a casual online English conversation group. She started by just listening intently, then offering short, simple responses. She focused on active listening, trying to grasp the speaker's full message before formulating her reply. This reduced pressure, allowing her to ease into interactions naturally. She reminded herself that perfection was not the goal, communication was. It was okay to hesitate, to make grammatical errors, or to search for the right word. People were generally understanding and encouraging, which significantly boosted her morale and encouraged further participation, making the process less daunting. Each successful interaction, no matter how brief, felt like a small victory. A shared laugh, a clear explanation, a well-received opinion, these moments affirmed her progress and fueled her motivation to continue pushing her boundaries. The joy of connection started outweighing the fear of mistakes, surprisingly. She also learned the power of asking for clarification. "Could you repeat that, please?" or "What do you mean by that?" became invaluable tools. Not only did it help her understand better, but it also bought her precious seconds to formulate her own thoughts, reducing pressure significantly. Beyond words, Lena started paying attention to nonverbal cues. Smiling, nodding, maintaining eye contact, these elements of body language conveyed engagement and confidence, even when her verbal fluency wasn't perfect. This made her appear more approachable and comfortable during conversations. To ensure continuous improvement, Lena structured her practice. She dedicated specific times each day to listening, reading, and self-talk. She also sought out diverse speaking partners, from patient tutors to fellow learners, each offering a unique conversational experience and exposure to different accents. She began to identify specific areas of weakness, such as vocabulary gaps in certain topics. She then targeted these by reading articles and listening to discussions related to those subjects, actively noting new words and phrases. This focused approach accelerated her progress considerably. Regular review of new vocabulary and grammar points was essential. She didn't just learn new words, she made an effort to actively use them in her self-talk and conversations, recycling them until they became second nature. This ensured retention and fluid application of her growing knowledge. Slowly, Lena wasn't just speaking English, she was finding her own voice in English. Her personality, her humor, her unique way of thinking began to shine through. It was no longer about perfect pronunciation, but about authentic self-expression, a true mark of linguistic mastery. She understood that improving English was not a destination but a continuous journey. There would always be new words to learn, new idioms to master, new accents to understand. But the initial overwhelming feeling had been replaced by a sense of exciting exploration and growth. The advice, "Start step-by-step talking," resonated deeply with her. She hadn't tried to jump into complex debates immediately. Instead, she had begun with single words, then short phrases, simple sentences, and gradually built up to more elaborate conversations. This methodical approach prevented burnout. Each small step, no matter how insignificant it seemed at the time, contributed to her monumental progress. It was the cumulative effect of daily, consistent effort that transformed her from a hesitant listener into a confident speaker. Her transformation was a powerful testament to persistence. Consistency was Lena's most powerful tool. Even on days when she felt unmotivated or tired, she would commit to at least 15 to 20 minutes of English exposure or practice. These short, regular sessions added up, creating a steady, upward trajectory in her language proficiency. She made a point of celebrating her small victories. Successfully navigating a phone call in English, understanding a fast-paced TV show without subtitles, or clearly expressing a complex idea, each achievement was acknowledged, reinforcing her positive associations with learning. There were moments, of course, when she felt like she wasn't making any progress, hitting a plateau. During these times, she would remind herself of how far she had come and experiment with new learning methods or take a short break to refresh her mind. Lena also started actively seeking feedback from native speakers she trusted. She asked them to correct her mistakes, not just passively, but constructively, explaining why certain phrases were more natural. This direct input was invaluable for fine-tuning her spoken English. She joined online communities and local meetups for English learners, and even some for native speakers interested in cultural exchange. These environments provided abundant opportunities for real-world practice in a supportive, judgment-free atmosphere, expanding her social circle as well. She ensured her learning remained enjoyable by incorporating entertainment. Watching English movies and TV shows without subtitles, listening to English music, and playing online games with English-speaking players became part of her routine, making practice feel less like work. Lena created an immersive English environment around her. She changed her phone language to English, read English news headlines, and even started thinking in English whenever possible. This constant exposure accelerated the naturalization process of the language in her brain. She marveled at her brain's adaptability. The more she pushed herself, the more connections it seemed to forge, making retrieval of words and construction of sentences faster and more automatic. It was truly a fascinating journey of cognitive rewiring. While grammar rules were important, Lena realized that true fluency transcended rote memorization. It was about developing an intuitive feel for the language, understanding its rhythm and flow, which came primarily through extensive listening and consistent practice. The most exhilarating moments were when spontaneous conversations just flowed naturally, without conscious effort or internal translation. These moments were rare at first, but with continued practice, they became more frequent, a testament to her growing fluency and confidence. She learned to build her vocabulary in context, rather than just isolated words. When she encountered a new word, she tried to understand how it was used in the sentence, what emotions it conveyed, and what other words it commonly appeared with, enhancing retention. Pronunciation was a constant focus. She used online tools and pronunciation apps, recording her voice and comparing it to native speakers. Breaking down difficult sounds and practicing them repeatedly helped her articulate words more clearly and confidently. Her ability to self-correct improved dramatically. When she made a mistake, she would often catch it herself and rephrase, a sign that her internal monitor was becoming more finely tuned. This self-awareness was a powerful learning mechanism. Lena understood the difference between accuracy and fluency. While accuracy was important, her initial goal was fluency, the ability to communicate ideas smoothly without excessive hesitation. Accuracy would naturally improve with more exposure and practice. The greatest joy came from being able to express her true self, her complex thoughts and emotions, in English. It was no longer a foreign language but a comfortable extension of her personality, allowing her to connect with a wider world of people. Her improved English opened up new networking opportunities, both professionally and personally. She could attend international conferences, engage with global colleagues, and make friends from diverse backgrounds, enriching her life immensely. English became a bridge, breaking down communication barriers and fostering understanding across cultures. She realized that language was not just words, but a key to empathy, connection, and global citizenship, expanding her worldview profoundly. Lena's journey even inspired others around her who struggled with similar language hurdles. She shared her methods, emphasizing the importance of daily practice and the power of small, consistent steps, becoming a beacon of hope and practical guidance. She continued to learn, always. English was a living language, constantly evolving, and she embraced this perpetual student mindset. There was always something new to discover, a new layer of meaning, a fresh nuance to grasp, keeping her engaged. Her story is a powerful testament to the idea that understanding English is just the beginning. True mastery comes from actively engaging with the language through listening, reading, and, most importantly, consistent speaking practice, even alone. She learned to embrace the awkwardness and imperfections of early speaking attempts. These moments were not failures but necessary steps on the path to fluency. They were part of the learning process, to be accepted and moved past with grace and determination. Lena now understood that having a voice in English meant having a voice in the world. It empowered her to share her ideas, advocate for herself, and participate fully in global conversations. It was more than just a skill, it was liberation. If you understand English but can't speak well, Lena's journey offers a clear roadmap. It emphasizes starting small, listening deeply, reading widely, and practicing talking to yourself before venturing into conversations with others. Your journey can begin now. There was no magic formula, just diligent effort applied consistently over time. The very interesting story of her transformation was built on the bedrock of daily habits and a commitment to continuous improvement, proving that dedication yields results. So, why wait? Start step by step talking, listen and practice, read English, and watch your confidence soar. Your fluent English voice is within reach, waiting for you to unlock it. This incredible journey awaits you, starting today.